We've seen these images before. Homes destroyed, families displaced, entire communities turned to rubble. What we haven't heard is their stories, the human stories behind the headlines. So today, we're going to meet two men who survived Hamas's October attack. Their stories are separated by an unfathomable loss, but united by an unwavering hope for a better future. Our first story is from Abdel Rahim. He is a Gazan agnostic and a Fulbright scholar. When the horror began, he had just started his PhD in America, but his wife and 3 young children were trapped in Gaza. In the first 5 months of the war, his wife had to move them 16 times. Sometimes they would go to a place with 20 other people in 2 small rooms. Other times they would move into buildings where 15,000 people shared just 3 bathrooms. No clean water, no medicine, no safety. In the midst of this nightmare, Abdul Rahim spent sleepless nights trying to get them out. On the Egyptian side of the border, he met with smugglers. They told him it could be done, but it would cost him $30,000 for permits to escape through the Rafah crossing. He didn't hesitate. This was his family. He sold his car, took loans, and somehow managed to scrape together the money. Meanwhile, his wife Salma moved her family once again. She went to a school that had been converted into a shelter. There were 4,000 people living there, mostly women and children. She had to line up for hours every day just to get a few buckets of water. Sleeping was impossible with the constant fear of airstrikes. Food and supplies were scarce. People were getting sick. Some didn't make it. When Salma heard planes approaching, she would gather her children, huddle with them in the bathroom, covering their ears to block the sound. She couldn't bear to see the terror on their faces. When the bombing stopped, she would take them outside to play, pretending everything was fine. Then one morning, after 5 long months, came the news they had all been waiting for. The Rafah crossing was open. It was their only chance. Salma had to leave immediately. She put her 7-year-old daughter, Abir, in charge of the house. Then she called her husband. He rushed to the border with the money and waited. It was chaos. Thousands of people surged toward the crossing. Salma kept moving forward. She carried her 4-year-old son, Omar, on her back, and her 2-year-old daughter, Lael, in her arms. When she looked up, she saw a tall, thin man with a black beard. He knelt beside her, put his hand on her shoulder, and said, "Don't worry, you're safe now." It was Abdul Rahim. He pulled her and the children close, kissing their faces. All around them, cars zoomed past, heading away from the chaos. But they stood there, holding each other, too stunned to move. It was until a Palestinian policeman helped them into a car that the reality of what had happened began to sink in. They drove through the desert for 2 hours until they reached a safe house in Egypt. Here, at last, they could be a family again. They had made it. Their ordeal was over, or so they thought. By then, Salma had lost her brother, 2 sisters, and 7 nieces and nephews. Her cousin had been killed along with his wife and 3 children. But as they started to piece their lives back together, more news came. Her parents, who had stayed in Gaza, were gone. Their house had been bombed. Neither their bodies nor their spirits would ever come back. After 5 months of terror, hiding, and displacement, Abdel Rahim and his family finally felt like they had a moment of calm. Today, his wife is earning her master's degree in Egypt, yet despite their survival and resilience, they have lost 50 family members. Still, Abdel Rahim says, "I don't even get mad. I would never resort to violence. Gazans are survivors. We just want peace." Now to our second story. His name is Mauz Inon. He grew up on his family's farm in a small Israeli town called Bikavashim. His parents were simple farmers. His mother, Esther, was an artist known for her beautiful mandalas. His father grew watermelon, wheat, and chickpeas. One day, Hamas attacked their farming community. On October 7th, 2023, at 7:50 a.m., both of his parents were murdered in their home. When Mauz got the call, He was working at his girlfriend's family farm. He dropped everything and rushed home. He arrived to find a horrifying scene. His house had been ransacked. Furniture was overturned, personal belongings strewn everywhere. He could hear the voices of his parents calling his name, begging for help, but they weren't alive. His mother was burned so badly she couldn't be identified. The pain of losing his parents is unbearable. But in the face of such tragedy, Moss has found the strength to keep going. He says, "My parents always told us next year will be better." And we still believe that. Hope isn't something we lose. It's something we make. What an extraordinary story. Two individuals, two different perspectives, yet united by a profound message. Peace doesn't emerge from the ashes of violence or the depths of despair. It's cultivated by the hands of ordinary people like you and me, brick by hopeful brick. So what can we do to honor the memory of those we've lost and to ensure that the cycle of violence ends? Well, we must listen. Listen to the stories of survivors like Abdel Rahim and Maus. Their tales are not just about grief or loss. They're about the indomitable spirit of humanity, the yearning for peace, and the courage to rebuild. And secondly, we need to talk. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, your leaders. Share these stories, ask questions, engage in thoughtful discussions about conflict resolution and peace building. It's in the conversations that we begin to bridge divides and dismantle stereotypes. Finally, we must act. Support organizations that are working on the ground to provide aid to those who have been affected by violence. Donate, volunteer, advocate. Every small step we take can make a big difference. As we conclude this episode, let us remember the words of the Dalai Lama. Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Let kindness be our compass, empathy our guide, and hope our unwavering companion. Together, we can create a ripple effect of positivity that honors the legacy of those we've lost and paves the way for a more peaceful tomorrow. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video insightful, don't miss out. Subscribe now to stay updated with our latest episodes. Let's continue the conversation. Drop your thoughts and comments below. Your engagement fuels our journey. And if you're inspired by our work, show your support. Every like and share amplifies our voice. Together, we can create a ripple effect of understanding and compassion. He was born in Gaza. He's an agnostic Muslim. He's a Fulbright scholar. And when he started telling me his story, I was like, wow, this guy really has nothing but love in his heart. And he says, I don't even get mad. I would never resort to violence. Gazans are survivors. We just want peace. This is what he said. His name is Abdel Rahim, and his story starts in America. He was just accepted into a PhD program. He was living the American dream. Life was good, and then the war began. And I don't know how to explain the way that he described the moment when it hit him that his wife and kids were trapped in Gaza. It was like this realization that his soul had left his body. Like he went numb, and the next 5 months were hell. Bombs falling all around them, massacres, the endless destruction. His wife had to move them 16 times during those first 5 months of war. They were going from one bomb shelter to another. Sometimes they would stay in a place with 20 people in 2 rooms, no clean water, no medicine, no safety. Once they had to move because the building next door was bombed and collapsed. So they were stuck in a building that was now surrounded by rubble and dust. That's not a place you want to be. He would spend sleepless nights calling, texting, trying to get his family out. He would call the Red Cross. He would call anyone who could help. He was watching them live in a horror movie.